different festivals like Christmas, Eid, Diwali, Pongal, and so on. So when we hear the word festival, we feel enthused and very happy because it is the day of celebration. It is the day of togetherness where we meet and greet relatives and friends, and it is the day of charity where we learn to be more generous, and especially the children will become very happy because they can wear new dress, they can enjoy delicious food, they can meet friends and relatives, and the full day will be filled with fun and joy. Similarly, in this lesson, we are going to see about a particular festival and how it has been celebrated by a particular boy. Let's see what that festival is and who's that boy is. Let's get into the lesson. Unit 1, Prose, Eidgah. Eid is a festival celebrated by Muslims. Then what is Eidgah? Eidgah is a place where mass prayers are offered by the Muslims on the special occasions or festivals. I repeat, Eidgah is a place where mass prayers are offered by the Muslims on special occasions or festivals. And this lesson was written by Prose and it was written in Hindustani language, so it has been translated and adapted by Uma Raman. So let's get into the lesson. It's Eidgah, section 1. How wonderful and beautiful was the morning of Eid. The trees looked greener, the field more festive, the sky had a lovely pink glow, the sun seemed brighter and more dazzling than before to wish the world a very happy Eid. Now let's see the meaning for dazzling. It means extremely bright. So whenever we are in a happy mood, whatever we see, it looks beautiful. And similarly, as it was the day of the Eid, the villager felt that the trees looked greener, the fields was waving happily, and the sky glowed in a pink color, and the sun seemed brighter than usual. And as if the nature wishes the whole world a happy Eid. The village was filled with excitement. Everyone was up early to the Eidgah. The boys were more excited than others. They had been talking about it all the time. Finally, the day had come. And now they were impatient. They were taking their treasures out of their pocket, counting and recounting it. Before putting it back, Mahmud counted 1, 2, 10, 12. He had 12 points. Mohsin had 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 15 points. With this money, they would buy countless things like toys, sweets, paper pipes, rubber balls and much more. The whole village was filled with excitement, especially the boys were very happy because they were longing for this day to come, and the day had come. And they started counting their pocket monies. Mahmud counted his money, the coins with him, and he had 12 coins. And Mohsin counted his money and he got 15 coins with him. And they were thinking that they could buy countless things out of that money like sweets, toys, rubber ball, etc. The happiest of the boys was Hamid. He was only 4, thin and poorly dressed. Last year, his father had died of cholera. Then his mother also died. From then, Hamid lived with his old granny, Amina, and was as happy as a lark. She told him that his father had gone to earn money and that his mother had gone to Allah to get lovely gifts for him. And this made Hamid very happy. And Hamid had no shoes on his feet. The cap on his head was soiled and tattered. He knew that his father would come back with sacks full of silver and his mother with gifts from Allah, and then he would have more than Mosi, Nure and Sami. So here we get the introduction of the boy Amir. So in this lesson we are going to see about Amir. And he was 4 years old boy. He was very thin and he was dressed very poorly because he belonged to the poor family. He lost both of his parents. His father died of cholera and his mother also died. And so he had to live with his granny Amina. And he was living happily as a lark. So we come across the word lark. Lark is the name of the bird, and here Hamid was happy as lark. And he had no shoes, and his cap was very dirty and tattered. Here the meaning for tattered is torn. So his cap was torn. He knew that his father would come with a sacks full of silver and his mother with lovely gifts from Allah. And then he will have more than his friend like Mahmud, Moshi, Nure and Sami. Hamid's granny Amina was sad. It was Eid and she did not have even a handful of grain. If only her son were there, it would have been a different kind of Eid. Hamid went to his grandmother and said, "Granny, I will be first to get back, don't worry." Amina was worried. Other boys were going out with their fathers. How could she let him go to the fair all by himself? Granny Amina was sad as she didn't have even a handful of grains during the day of Eid celebration. And if Hamid's father was alive, it would be of a different way of celebration. And she is also worried that Hamid had to go alone to the Eidgah, whereas other boys will be going along with their father. But Hamid consoling her granny Amina by saying that he will be the first to come back and not to be worried. Hamid left with other boys and Hamid was like one with wings on his feet. Here it means now he started moving with other boys to Eidgah and he was not walking very slowly, he was running fast. That's why they mean, that's what they mean by the word wings on his feet. They ran on ahead of the elders and waited for them under a tree. So what they did, they were running, not only Hamid, all the boys were running in front of, ahead of the elders, and once they reached quite distance, they used to stop there and wait for the elders to come. And they reached the suburbs of the town. Here the meaning for suburbs is suburbs, outlying area. So the area which is at the outskirts of that village, and it is a highly populated area. On both sides of the road were big houses of rich. In the gardens, mango and lychee trees were full of fruits, and then they came across the stores of sweets vendors, all decorated so gaily. Every stores had sweets piled up in heaps like mountains. So now let's see the meaning for gaily. Gaily means in bright colors. So once they reached the suburbs, they could see the big houses on both the side of the streets, and each house has a garden full of trees of mango and lychee with full of fruits. And then they also came across the stores of sweets, and all the sweets shops were decorated so gaily in bright colors. And every store has sweets, lot of sweets. It has been piled up in heaps of mountain. Let me show you the picture of the heap of sweets. So in this picture we can see a lot of sweets that is being piled up like a mountain. Let's start with section 2. Soon the roads began to get crowded. Some people were on congos and echoes, and some in motor cars. Were all wearing perfumes, all bursting with excitement. The children were calm and contented a lot. For village children, everything in the town was wonderful. Whatever they caught their eye, they stood and gazed at it with wonder. At last, Eidgah came into view, and there were row upon row of worshippers as far as the eye could see. Newcomers lined themselves behind the ones already there. So here, once they reached near to the Eidgah, they could see a lot of crowd, and some people were traveling to that place on tongas and echoes. Let me show you the picture of tongas and echoes. Tonga is a spot, 1 hour spot, and Eidgah, it is also the 1 hour spot. What's the difference between Tonga and Eidgah is? Tonga is the new version and Eidgah is the old version, and Tonga will be little comfortable for the passenger to be seated. And some they reach the place by car, and all were wearing perfumes and all were being filled with excitement. For the children of the villagers, once they reach the town, it's good, each and everything is good, it's going to be the surprise and wonderful for them. And they gave that everything in surprise. What is the meaning for give? Gave means stand. So at last they could be able to see Eidgah. So once they reached the place called Eidgah, they could see the worshippers lined up in a long queue. And the newcomer, they joined the line, one behind the other who was already there. So you can see the Eidgah place, and you can see the villagers lined up themselves, and they were waiting for their prayer. The prayer was over, men embraced each other, they descended on the street, and toy vendors stores like an army moving to attack. There was a merry-go-round with wooden elephants, horses, camel, and you paid 1 paisa and add 25 rounds of fun. Mahmud and Mohsin and Nure and other boys mounted the horses and camels. So, once they reached that Eidgah place, they lined themselves and the prayer got over. Now it's a time for them. They were been awaiting for this moment. Now they are going to start their shopping. So they went along the street to buy the sweets and toys out of their money. At first they went across the merry-go-round. So what is the meaning for merry-go-round? So this is called as merry-go-round. It has been fitted with the wooden horses, elephant and camels. And in order to go 25 rounds in that merry-go-round, they have to pay 1 paisa. And so Mohsin, Mahmud and Nure, they mounted on horses and camel, and they started enjoying that ride. Hamid watched them from a distance. All he had were 3 paisas. He couldn't part with a third of his treasure for a few miserable rounds. They were soon done with their rides, and then it was a time for the toys. There were a row of stands on one side with all kinds of toys. Soldiers, milkmaid, kings and ministers, water carriers and washerwomen and ruling men. So now the Hamid, he didn't join in merry-go-round, he didn't go ride in a merry-go-round. For him, it seems expensive. That 1 paisa seems very expensive because he got only 3 paisa. And so he was standing at a distance and watching his friend enjoying the merry-go-round. And once it has been done, the friends have come down and they started moving, and it's time to buy the toys. So they are going to the toy shop. Mahmud bought a policeman in doggy with a red turban on his head and a gun on his shoulder. Mohsin bought a water carrier while Noor bought a lawyer. And those toys cost 2 paisa each. Hamid had only 3 paisas. How could he buy such expensive toys? If they drop out of his hand, they would be smashed into bits, and if a drop of water fell on them, the color would run. But he looked at him angrily and wished he could hold them in his hand for just a moment or two. After the toys, it was sweets. Someone bought sesame seeds candy, other gulab jamun or alwa, and they smacked their lips with relish. Only Amir was left out. So now it's time to buy the toys. Let's see what are the toys bought by them. So yeah, Mahmoud bought a policeman with a red turban having a gun in his shoulder, and Noor with a lawyer toy, and Mohsin with a water bottle. And now again, Hamid is not going to buy anything. He feels it is very expensive as he has only 3 paisas. Now they started moving to the sweet shop, and they started enjoying the sweets by getting sesame seeds candy, gulab jamun and alwa. And they smacked their lips with relish. Let's see the meaning for smacked and relish. Yes. Smack your lips, open and close the lips noisily to show enjoyment. So when we have our delicious food or especially sweet, we used to open and close the lips by making some noise. That is called as smack your lips. And next is relish. Enjoyed or took pleasure in their taste. So whenever we have sweets or our favorite or delicious food, we used to enjoy and take it, and that is called as relish. Let's move on to section 3. Next to the sweet shops, there were a few hardware stores and jewellery shops. The boys were not interested in anything there, so they walked ahead except Hamid. So now they had a ride in the merry-go-round. They bought toys, and they enjoyed the sweets. Now they come across the jewellery shop and hardware stores, but the boys were not interested in that, and so they passed by those shops. But Hamid stopped and looked at the hardware shop. It occurred to Hamid that his granny did not have a pair of tongs. Each time she cooked the chapatis, the iron pan burnt her hands. If he bought her a pair of tongs, she would be very pleased. She would never again burn her fingers. It would be a really useful thing to have in the house. So Hamid stopped to look at the pile of tongs at the hardware shop and asked the shopkeeper, "How much for this pair of tongs?" The shopkeeper looked at him and replied, "It's not for you." So once he crossed a hardware shop, Hamid thought of buying the pair of tongs for his granny. Why? Because his granny would often get burnt his hand whenever she prepared chapati. And when he stopped and asked the shopkeeper about the cost for the pair of tongs, the shopkeeper said, thinking that Hamid is just only 4-year boy, thinking that Hamid would have mistook it for the toy, and he said, "It is not for you." Is it for sale or not? Why should it not for sale? It will cost you 6 paisas. Hamid heart sank. "Tell me the correct price," he said. "Alright, it will be 5 paisa, take it or leave it." So he is again asking the shopkeeper whether this tongs are for sale or not. Now the shopkeeper is giving the answer like, "Yes, of course it is for sale and it cost 6 paisa." Now Hamid started bargaining, and for that the shopkeeper reduced the price for 5 paisa. said, will you give it to me for 3? Because he has only 3 paisa. Now he is asking the tongs for 3 paisa. Then he walked away, afraid that the shopkeeper would scream at him, but the shopkeeper did not scream. On the contrary, he called Hamid back and gave him a pair of tongs. As soon as he asked the price for 3 paisa, he just ran and he started walking away from that shop, fearing that shopkeeper will shout at him. But on the contrary, the shopkeeper didn't shout at him. He called Hamid and gave the tongs for 3 paisa. Hamid felt very happy. Hamid carried it on his shoulder as if it were a gun to show it to his friend. He was carrying the tongs. So let me show you what is the pair of tongs. So this is called as a tongs, a tool used to hold hot things. And he moved the tongs on his shoulder and he showed to his friend as if it were a gun. And Munshi laughed and said, "Are you crazy? What will you do with the tongs?" Hamid flung the tongs on the ground and replied, "Try and throw your water carrier on the ground, it will break." So Mochi started kidding Hamid that what he is going to do with the tongs. But Hamid said him to throw his water carrier down, and as he can throw the tongs down and it won't break. Hamid said that all these tongs are kind of toy. Now he started asking whether the tongs is a kind of a toy. And "Why not?" replied Hamid. "Place them across your shoulder. It is a gun. Carry them in your hands, and it is like a musical instrument and carry by singing notes. And my tongs are like a tiger among toys." He's saying, why not? It is also like a toy. When I hold the tongs on my shoulder, it's going to be looking like a gun. When I hold the tongs in my hand, it is going to be the musical instruments. And he is also telling that his tongs are tiger of toys because it is very strong, it is unbreakable. Now Sami wanted to exchange his tambourine with the tongs, and the cost of the tambourine is 8 paisa, but Hamid was not willing to do so. Now the pair of tongs won everyone over to his side. So everyone were eager to take the tongs from Hamid, but he is not willing to give to anyone else. And by the 11, the village were again filled with excitement. Why? Because all those who went to Eidgah and fair, they have been returning back to the village. And as soon as the granny heard the voice of the Hamid, she came out, she hugged him and kissed him. Suddenly she noticed the tongs in his hand. "Where did you find these tongs?" "I bought them." "How much did you pay for them?" 3 paisas. "And you are stupid child, it is almost noon and you haven't had anything to eat or drink. Couldn't you find anything better in the fair than this pair of iron tongs?" As the granny was hugging and kissing the Hamid, she found a pair of tongs in his hand and asked about the tongs, where he found that. For that, Hamid said that he didn't find anywhere, he bought the tongs for her. And she said, she asked for the cost of the tongs, and he said it cost him 3 paisa. The cost of the tong is 3 paisa. Granny Amina became upset and angry because it is almost noon. He didn't drink or eat anything till now, and so she felt very angry with Hamid for buying the pair of tongs. Hamid replied in an injured tone, "You burn your fingers on the iron pan, so I bought them." Granny was deeply moved by Hamid's selflessness, and she started crying. For the wretched woman, a pair of tongs was as precious as a sacks of silver. So here, Hamid said that he had brought the pair of tongs for Granny Amina, and she always burned her fingers whenever she made chapati. And hearing this, she was deeply moved by Hamid's selflessness. And for the rich women like her, a pair of tongs is equal to the bag full of silver. So let's see the meaning for rich and precious. So rich means unhappy woman, precious means valuable. So now we have come to the end of the lesson. What a nice boy Damit was, isn't it, children? So now let's take the message from this lesson that in this lesson we saw how the poor people were celebrating the festivals without even a handful of grain. They will be suffering a lot. On the contrary, we can see the rich people, how they are celebrating it in a very grand manner. So let us keep a promise over here to include the charity in the celebration of festivals. Thank you, children.